This week, the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice released a report of its investigations into allegations of bribery and corruption that was leveled against President Mahama for accepting a Ford Expedition gift from a Burkinabe contractor, Jibril Kanozoe, who subsequently secured government contracts. The CBP Youth Wing and the PPP and a private individual petitioned the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice over the gift. However, on Thursday, CHRAJ released a 78-page report which technically cleared the president of any wrongdoing, but indicted him for violating the gift policy under the Code of Conduct for Public Officers. According to CHRAJ report, although the evidence showed that President Mahama subsequently surrendered the gift to the state, the action nonetheless, they say, contravened the gift policy. But the former boss of CHRAJ, Commissioner Justice Emil Short, has described the report as problematic. This comes on the back of praises from the president's lawyer, Tony Letha, for how fast and timeless and thorough the investigations have been. The minority is also raising questions of lack of thoroughness into this allegation. So the key question we're interrogating is whether we should all let this die gently because the CHRAJ has completed its investigations, or we feel that there is more to dig for in this issue. Should the president just apologize, or should he be compelled? What else needs to be done beyond this? I'll start on this note with Honorable Obiamwa. Honorable Obiamwa, yes. I know that your party's position has been to thoroughly investigate this. You're not satisfied with the CHRAJ, with the work CHRAJ did?
Well, thank you. Let me start from a different angle. And sometimes I wonder whether we are making progress in this country. Fortunately for us, Professor Mills, during his presidency, set up a Constitutional Review Commission. And we reckon to have spent so much for this whole commission. Indeed, the UNDP came in, the government itself provided resources. Some reckon between $5 million to $8 million would have been spent on this whole review exercise. Simply because we thought that there were some issues coming out of our constitution that we could address moving forward as a nation, having practiced constitutional rule since 1992. But as we speak, nothing much has been done about it. For instance, I always refer to the government white paper on Constitution Review Commission. And for what we are discussing, the simple thing that government said about it is that government accepts the proposal for new legislation on ethics and anti-corruption on gifts and what constitutes conflict of interest to assist the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice in the determination of complaints made against public officers for breaches of the Code of Conduct for Public Officers. This is what government itself accepted as far back as June 2012. As we speak, nothing has happened. And even in this particular case, the provision is not entrenched for you to say that we should go for a referendum, which means that you can bring legislation to Parliament, and Parliament will deliberate and pass it, and it becomes part of our laws. Because if we ourselves have accepted that the present situation is not good enough because of what we see as loopholes in our own legal system, for how long is it taking us to address this? That is the code of ethics, conflict of interest, and what we even mean by gifts. Now let's go to the major issue. It's not a matter of saying that whether one group is satisfied or one group is not satisfied. After all,
or whether the matter should be left to die, or we should dig for more dirt.
After all, we have complainants. That even complaint brought some problems for the CPP because the youth league of the CPP decided to file a complaint, and then their senior people in the party felt that maybe they should have consulted them and even led to suspensions, etc. Then there's an individual who was involved so Adwofori also, and a PPP. So they are complainants, and their complaint is very simple. A media person, a journalist, has managed to do enough investigation to conclude that a contractor who claims himself to be a friend of the president, which the president has not denied, because he went on to prove that he's the president's friend by saying that even when he lost his dad, the president sent a delegation. That's number one. So this contractor has confirmed that he gave the car to the president as whatever. And he even said that anytime he comes to Ghana, he goes to salute to the president. Whatever that means. He goes to salute, whatever that means. Whatever that means by the salute. Now, fortunately for us, we have journalists who traveled all the way to Burkina to do this investigation simply because that person had been asked to construct a fence wall, and then the Auditor General had gone to audit it, and the issue had come before the Public Accounts Committee that they used $650,000 or so to construct the wall, which they thought probably on the high side. Thankfully, when the journalists followed up, Manasseh Azuri followed up, he managed to get audio recordings and even video recordings of the interview and what transpired. So eventually the complainants went to CHRAJ and the president responded. If you look at read the CHRAJ report, all the issues have been spelled out. But for me, what is most important is that CHRAJ had broken the issues into two. The code of conduct as far as gifts are concerned, and whether there was conflict of interest. And CHRAJ is saying that if you look at the two, the president was guilty on one and not guilty on the other. So if you be charitable to the president, it means he's half guilty. By 50-50. He's half guilty. But then they went on to even break it further down as to whether indeed how the vehicle came in, whether when it came in, it was used. But the bottom line is that if you look at the whole story and how the whole thing was approached, I think that there's a big difficulty there. In the first place, you have the ambassador of Burkina Faso receiving the vehicle, sending it to the regional minister bringing it to Accra, going through customs, whether the car was new or old. Indeed, when the matter broke, it is only when the matter broke that we were told that, oh, it was sent to the presidential pool. And because it was sent to the presidential pool, it doesn't need a dedicated number. The
issue is also that we would never have known if it didn't break.
Yes, and that even for number plate, because it was sent to the presidential pool, it doesn't have a dedicated number plate. You can use any number plate because it's a security vehicle. It's all in the report.
Yes.
But the bottom line is that CHRAJ has said that as far as they are concerned, the guidelines for gifts, for receiving gifts, and how you should dispose of gifts, these guidelines were violated. And if they say it's violation, it's a serious matter enough. Beyond that, if they look at how the contracts were awarded and the narratives from AESL and from the staff at the presidency, especially from the Osu Castle, it was then at the Osu Castle, and then having spoke to other persons, they couldn't conclude that it was a conflict of interest situation. So the jury is still out. If indeed we want to follow up, maybe the larger body will have to come in. If you are not happy really with the CHRAJ situation, we go to court. But I'm saying that on the face of it, still going through the report from CHRAJ, it's obvious that the president has violated part of what they put down. That is how they handled the whole gift thing. But they could not conclude, or they could not come out to say that he was guilty on the other aspect of.
But you're a lawyer, so let's get a little bit clarity on that. How is it possible that he could be indicted in one and not indicted in the other, since the two are actually interconnected?
Well, we can interrogate what CHRAJ has done. If you go through the report, carefully look at the report, it shows that they were trying to bring out the issues
one by
one. Where they thought that they could not conclude that it was conflict of interest was the fact that they thought they could trace the car at the presidency. The car, as far as they are concerned, the presidency has managed to say that the car is in Abosu. We are using it. It was brought to us. As to when it was sent to the presidency, as to when it was converted into a security car, they are saying that
they didn't have the evidence.
They didn't have the evidence
to establish that.
So
that on that basis they couldn't conclude that it influenced their award of contract.
What is really interesting is that if, for instance, this is not the first time that the presidency is receiving a car. This President Kufuor's time, a whole head of state brought a car to the presidency. It was shown to the whole world. This is what Gaddafi has brought for us to add to the fleet of cars at the presidency. And that was the end of the matter. But in a situation where an individual decides to bring a car, it's cleared in the name of another person, is shrouded in some secrecy.
Whole line of transfers.
Yes. And then the story has to break because an investigative journalist had to pursue it in Burkina. It means that we have not been transparent with the system. And when it comes to that point, then we can read a lot of things.
And it makes you wonder whether there are other things that are being covered.
Yes. How many of such gifts have not been exposed to us? How many other things have come? That is where we need to then have the legal system in place, where even you're given a watch, you should be able to say that this is a watch given to me when I went here, and this is a watch. How do we do with it? But here is a situation where we admit that gifts at a certain level should be considered in a very different way, but we tend to keep quiet about it. What is unfortunate is that aspect where it had to take a journalist to go all the way to come and tell us.
Right.
Indeed, a car had been given. For then government to come and tell us that, yes, the car had been given, but this is how we used it. That is where the problem is. Right. So as for the violation, the president has been found to have violated the gift policy.
Are there consequences? By law, are there consequences if the gift policy is violated?
Well, that's where the problem is. Because if it's only policy and guidelines, what are the sanctions? And if we agree that we should go further and have legislation to be able to address all these things, how come even after 2012, when government issued a white paper, we are still where we are and no step has been taken? That is where the challenge is. And what are our priorities? Is this a priority for us, or is business as usual? I'll come back to it.
How should we address this?
Our youth league actually are part of this CHRAJ. And for us, we are not fully satisfied. That's the youth league of my party. I'm speaking for my party now.
They've told us that themselves.
Yes, because at the end of it all, there are so many unanswered questions. First and foremost,
unanswered questions like
why was the vehicle passed through duty, taxes, and all that, if it was a state vehicle or if the state had taken delivery of it? You know, when the Osajifo built had people to build the Akosombo Dam, he was gifted with Pidwasi Lodge. It was actually, for people who don't know, it was a gift to the Osajifo. He took it to Parliament. And the first time, it was rejected. Keep it. He says no. He took it the second time. He said no. This work was done for Ghana. And if a gift of this nature has come, I can't just use it. So take it. It's in the parliamentary Hansard. Anyone can go and look at it. So that if Menasse had not probably come out with this, and if our country's parliament had not come across this issue of a wall, all this would not have come. So that we would not have known that such a thing had been gifted to our president.
Which is a serious matter
in itself. Which is a serious matter in itself. And I would like to say that, personally, I would not hold the president responsible, but I would hold those who have the mandate to act on his behalf. Say, whatever comes to the presidency, there should be somebody to let us know information. So I don't know whether it's going to be the Minister of Information or there's someone who has a portfolio within the Flagstaff House to give us that information.
I reckon that all that boils down to the fact that there are no laid down laws.
So it means that there are no laid down laws?
Stringent regulations which must be adhered to, which might come with consequences and sanctions.
That's it. So who is to be sanctioned? Is it the president or the one who is supposed to have made us aware that the president has gotten this and therefore this is where we have kept it? If you look at the whole thing and you look at how Emil Schultz is describing, it's problematic. Because now you're giving avenue for everyone to take anything and say that it's okay to take it. So the question now is, of what value should a public servant accept a gift? What should be the value of the gifts and the circumstances?
For the US, it's $20.
Okay, so for Ghana, what is it? You understand? And then it boils down again to so many questions. Okay, in their dealings with other organizations, have there been occasions where they've been gifted with things that we don't know? And should we know? So these are things that we should be asking. And it should be documented for us to at least have something to look at.
So we'll have no doubt in our mind.
So we have no doubt.
So, for example, if the president had declared this from the onset, we won't be where we are today.
No one is going to fault him for it. You understand? But then it still goes back to the issue of what value should the president accept a gift. If it's $20, definitely a car is way overboard. So he couldn't accept that. So if you look at the whole thing, then you look at the public sector and its code of conduct. If he has faulted where this gifts policy is concerned, then it means that there must be some form of, shall I say,
sanctions?
Punitive
measures?
Yeah, a punitive measure. Not and I keep saying that, look, we are all human. As I believe that if the president were to come out openly and say, look, I erred where this was concerned, and therefore I'm sorry, Ghanaians, this will not happen again. I'm sure Ghanaians will let it lie. But when we consistently have people coming out in defense of the indefensible, because that's how we see it.
You saw it.
It's in defense of the indefensible. This is an issue that is there. It is not something that you cannot play out and say that the Burkinabe contractor is making up a story. But we know that it happened. The car is visible. So everybody knows that the car is there. It's at the presidency. Right now we would want to know, so whose name
is on the deed?
It's on the deed or the ownership of the vehicle. You get me? How much did they pay? Where are the records in the DVLA? What number plate is even on the record? Because you see, at the end of it all, assuming that this thing had not become public, how sure are we that maybe he would not have taken it home? Or maybe not him, but anybody within the presidency could have driven it out. So these are things that we must make, clear to everybody, that our president is not supposed to be gifted with anything that is above this, and if he accepts, he must tell us Ghanaians. And at the end of it also, I am hoping that the community, you see, one thing that President Mahama, the problem with the NDC is communication. They are not forthright with communication, and they have to be forthright with communication. It must be transparent so that Ghanaians will understand and get to know whatever is happening within us. Because most of the time, things happen before they have this knee-jerk reaction. They just come and say, this is how it's supposed to be. But who was there? There was no one there. So I think that this particular problem, I was thinking, because when the CPP first went, the impression we got was that CHRAJ could not even, they didn't have the numbers, and therefore they could not be able to see swiftly to this problem. So I was hoping that this petition would have probably come out next year.
Yeah.
That was how we saw it. But then suddenly for you to have been able to come up with a 78-page document before elections, in other words, trying to exonerate the president, that's how we have seen it. It's neither here nor there.
You see it as fishy?
Yeah, we see it as fishy, as a CPP. Because we believe that if you didn't have the numbers, if you made us understand and believe that you needed to do a thorough check on this issue.
But what were your expectations anyway? Were you hoping that the president will be indicted and impeached, for example?
They're saying preliminary investigations.
Well,
even though they have concluded on the matter, they said after preliminary investigation, they think they should not move on to the next step. Except that, of course, Once it's preliminary investigations,
it's preliminary.
it's concluded.
It's preliminary. It's almost concluded because the statements that are coming from the government side are emphatic. That is, he's been exonerated, blah blah blah. But we were expecting that. Look, let this thing just take its normal course. Well,
in fact, the lecturer will tell you it's not even 50-50.
Well, but that's
if
what
you look at the second part of it, there's still problems.
So is saying.
Maybe the pass mark, maybe you have 35 over 100.
I sometimes personally don't fault the president for this, because I think that there are people who are responsible for receiving and making sure that the Ghanaian public gets to know what is happening within the presidency. And if this is not forthcoming, then there's a problem.
Dr. Jinapor, do you feel that this is fishy also, and that do you think CHRAJ, for example, too quickly tried to dispose of this case, fearing that perhaps if it has indicted the president in any other form, the opposition could take advantage of that and start processes of impeachment, for example?
No, I disagree with you on even the last assumption. Let's be careful the way we tread when it comes to this issue. This issue has been around for some time now. I think it broke up early part of this year. And you see, my position on this issue is very simple. Simple in the sense that the whole argument that is being made by the petitioners and especially the opposition is that the president was bribed. It's as simple as that. Honorable, is that not the case?
Well,
conflict of interest.
Yes,
conflict of interest.
Conflict of interest. I mean, it boils down to bribe. And why is it the case? Because when the narrative is being given, the narrative is that this man, Kanazuri, complained that he wasn't getting contracts. He meets the president, who was then vice president. He gets contract. Post the contract, it is revealed that the president was given a fraud gift, which means that there was what? Conflict of interest or bribery. It's as you see it. Fast forward. Today, CHRAJ, I didn't get an opportunity of reading the whole report, but I read snippets of it. And you see, when you read that report by CHRAJ, it's quite a comprehensive report. Whether what they are saying you agree with them or not, they tried to touch base on the variables that underplays in this whole issue, i.e. being the wall that was built at the Ghana Embassy in Burkina Faso, a contract, Hamile Road, which was whatever it is, then another contract. And they touched on each of them and they gave a verdict. As to whether you agree with the verdict or not, it's a different thing. But if you ask the question whether they rushed through it, I don't think so, in the sense that the petitioners, when they were petitioning CHRAJ, definitely were expecting them to what? To address that issue. As to whether it was going to be addressed a day or two.
They sent the petition in June.
They sent the petition in June, and today is ready.
June.
Well, and today is ready. I mean, it could have taken 3 years. So it's addressed. The issue is whether what is being addressed, you agree with them or not. If you ask me, Steve, as an ordinary person, without being made, given the facts and speaking to it from the outside, if you ask me that the president probably was bribed, was given a fraud as a bribe for that gentleman to be given those contracts, I will say no. I will say no. If you look at the quantum, the value of the contracts vis-a-vis the cost of a fraud, I don't think he was bribed. Is it the case that probably this gentleman gave the president this fraud gifts in appreciation of something? There's the likelihood.
But we don't know that.
No, I'm saying there's the likelihood. I'm looking at the cost of a fraud, and I'm looking at who the president is. And I'm just supposing that because the Hamilton Road alone, we are talking about $28 million or whatever it is. The wall is about $650,000 or whatever it is. I mean,
just a small question.
Yes, sir.
He did the Dodi Papasu Road.
The Dodi Papasu Road, yes.
And then he was going for the Hamile Road.
Hamile Road, yeah. The Dodi Papasu Road, that's 28 million, right?
Yes.
Yes, yes. So if the president, because when you say a bribe, I'm giving you this, give me that. It can be taken before or it can be offered after. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
But by common sense and logic, I don't think the president was given that fraud as a bribe to get that material or that contract. But it's possible that the man gave the president the fort in appreciation of something, whatever it is.
That we don't
Whatever it is, we don't know. Secondly, no, as a friend, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if the gentleman had given the president the fort and the man had never had a contract, it wouldn't have been an issue. If I give Obiamwa my small passage,
maybe it's for thanking the president for attending his
funeral. That's what I'm saying. So it could be any of those. But I think, and that is where I agree strongly with CHRAJ, that the president shouldn't have taken the gift.
He shouldn't have.
Why? Why am I saying this? You see, the point is this: that gift was not given to the state. Even listening to the president, the NDC communicators. Listening to the NDC communicators, that the gift was given to the president, and the president then handed it over to what?
So
the state.
The president who received
so it was the president who received the gift in his capacity as John Mahama. Let me just.
Okay.
So I think he shouldn't have done that. He should have done. But you see, the point is this: I think this thing gives us an opportunity, and I think my sister Rhoda raised the issue of how much gifts should be collected. Look, it's not about how much gifts. We have different kinds of gifts. If Obiamwa comes to my hometown, he's an MP. My father definitely will give him yams.
And smoke.
He will give him smoke and he will give him a sheep. Most of the time, these people, when they come, they don't even know where the smoke, the sheep, and the yams go. The regional executive are going, they take it out. He's taking a gift from my dad. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with those kind of gifts. But this, because I think, look, we need to be careful. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know the facts of this issue. But I just conclude by saying that the president shouldn't have taken it. Maybe he took it with good intentions. It was good he handed it over to the state. There was no any kind of ill motive. There was nothing about just not to create a smooth screen for people to read meanings into most of these things. I think it's better you just prevent it. Yeah. And moving forward, we need to be extremely. I mean, I'm even surprised. CHRAJ made reference to the fact that the president broke the code of ethics regarding what gifts. It means we have a code of ethics policy.
You have guidelines.
What is the ramification? What is the consequence when you break such a law? I would have wished to know.
Or if you had been an ordinary person, like a DC,
Yeah, but in other
a DC or a minister, what would have been the implications?
in other jurisdictions, in other jurisdictions, if you are given a gift as president and you feel you want to keep it, you pay for the value.
Agreed.
Yes. So he could have also done that.
But that's what I'm saying. That he decided not to
could have
keep
done
it.
that.
He said he was giving it out. You understand what I'm saying? He was giving it out to the state. But that's what I'm saying. That what is the consequences of such an act if you break a policy or whatever it is?
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
And I think seriously, this is not going to go anywhere. And I would have been very, 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 very surprised, because you know what? If CHRAJ had found the president to be guilty of corruption, which I said I don't believe it was, of bribery, what would have been the consequence? Look at it within the public policy. I mean, it means you would have been impeached. That's
what's wrong with the president?
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But as I'm saying, you see, the point is this, and it's always characteristics of us as a nation. We have laws and we don't implement them. Do you get what I'm saying? We have laws, we don't implement them. The president has broken the code of policy.
Obiamwa said there are no sanctions.
There are no sanctions.
So
just like guidelines.
So it stays that way.
Like
it stays that way. But
apologize.
that should inform us that, look, we should add something more to it.
Yeah.
We should add something more to it. Have we sat down to quantify the costs accrued from CHRAJ investigating this issue? The costs relative to the discussion that has surrounded this issue? You understand? I mean, you cannot have an effective law if it does not come with punitive measures.
Right.
So I think that moving forward, maybe something more should be done about it. Not just regarding President Mahama. I mean, somebody will. So something needs to be done about it, so that at least it should be able to bite.
Right, so let's hear what some of you are saying. We've got plenty messages pouring in. I'll read some of them. This one says, good morning. Happy to hear your panel talking about policy. May I know if there is any policy increasing the number of technical vocational institutions? So far, there have been no such institution in the already built schools. How then can we solve the unemployment problem? This is coming from Aye Ashie. And the concept of BRT started in 2007, according to an officer from the Ministry of Transport who was in your studios. Wow. We need to pause on the messages for now, but you can still send them in and we'll read quite a number of them. But before we take a break, Honorable Obiamo, I want to find out from you with this whole CHRAJ thing. Would you say then, on the basis of all the discussions we've been having, whether CHRAJ erred or not in drawing the conclusions it drew?
Well, the impression one gets when you read a CHRAJ report is CHRAJ more or less looking like they are handicapped when it comes to addressing this issue. And then even at the last part of the report, lamenting that they should tell us that we need to pass a law on the conduct of public officers. And it's long overdue. So,
oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, yes. So it's more or less in line with
what you said.
So it's all in the report. So obviously they want to tell us that within their competence and within their limitations, that's what they have been able to bring out. They are also trying to be fair by saying that, having spoken to all the players, we have the impression that this will not fall into a conflict of interest situation, because they are saying that even for the Hamley Road, the contractor wasn't part of those who were considered, and that they brought the car was not kept by the president but it was used by the state, so they will not say that they used it to bribe the president. Those are the issues, but the larger issue is whether this whole thing, we've had the transparency that we really need, whether this whole thing is only one of situation or is something that is going all over the place. And even the critical issue of whether there are people who are conspiring to shield the president from any such situation. Then you go to even our state-owned institutions, the VRAs and the GMPCs and all the major places. What is going on there? Are they also receiving gifts and giving them to the states? Or in their case, when they receive gifts, they keep them? If you don't have a comprehensive law on some of these things, this is where we come to. And for some jurisdictions, they wonder how come, after all these years, we are still discussing some of these things. Because they have clear policy guidelines. Just recently, Hillary, even her foundation, she was accused of asking her chief of staff, when she was Secretary of State, to go and meet or to go and interview persons who ran her foundation. They had to come out to say that during that period, even her airfare and everything, they paid herself. It's not the state which paid. They wanted to distinguish between the work that she was doing for the foundation and the work that she was doing as staff of the Secretary of State. So that because they know there are guidelines, there are rules, these are the implications, this is what will happen if we do it this way. But here, we put everything together, it's muddied, and then when the matter is against the president, we debate, we politicize it, make it a major issue, and say, oh, victory for president. Those who accused him, the devils are ashamed. Yes. I can't imagine this.
Right. Is that what is going on?